What is up, everybody? Welcome back to this episode of Show and Tell After Dark, where we talk about all things art, all things music, all things Boston. You like that?
True. Yeah, I like that.
You like, okay. Yeah. All right. Tonight we have the beautiful and the handsome cast network crew of the Boston Compass. How are you guys doing tonight? Wait,
good.
was this blue? Was this purple coordinated?
We're good. No, do you see the hue?
wow, yeah.
Is the hue
This is beautiful.
getting picked up?
Yeah.
We just are on the same sort of wavelength with the color, I guess.
Yeah.
How are y'all
That's
doing?
really nice.
Y'all are good.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with you, sir. What's your name? What's your name, where you're from, and what is your relation to the Boston Compass?
Sam Patricus. Hello. From, I guess, I say Braintree, Mass. You know, sometimes people move around, but essentially in the suburbs.
Okay.
And yeah, I've founded the Boston Compass newspaper in 2010. Just like a zine, one page, and then eventually, you know, it evolved to become a newspaper, but I didn't do it alone. That's why I'm with my team of 2023 right here.
Okay.
Hello,
What's that, Shawty?
Samaya. I am here as like community member. I also work a few hours at the new storefront space in Fields Corner, and I found out about the Compass. I was maybe like 18. I moved back from New York. I was very purposeless, and I wanted to start playing the drums, and I saw a posting that Sam made on the Compass page back at the old storefront, and I pulled up and I picked it up, and I've been reading the Compass ever since.
Mm-hmm. What year was that?
2021.
Okay.
The drum kit.
The drum kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
Hi, I'm Michelle, aka Wavy.
Wavy.
Wavy. She's wavy right now.
Wavy.
I do digital marketing and blog editing for the Compass. Basically I got introduced in like 2019. I was doing
Come in.
I was doing like events. I was a vendor for a Dorchester art project, and then
Oh, you what?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then I met Sam, and literally the rest was history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle, keep it here. Keep it in
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
We got you, girl. We're going to
You got
remind you.
it? Did you hear that? Okay.
Thank you.
This is your new best friend. This is your best friend for the night.
We'll get there.
What about you? Who you can use mine?
So my name is Alula. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, but I've been in Mass for 6 years now, coming up on 7. First heard about the Compass, I think 2 or 3 years ago. They had placements in this random vintage store that doesn't exist anymore, called Pareem. So I've been reading on and off for the past 2-3 years, and was just like following them on Instagram, checking out their link tree, and so I was like, oh, like you can contribute, you can da-da-da-da. So put my email down, put my name down, and now I freelance with the Compass.
I got a lot of questions.
Writer, contributor.
It's being modest.
Who wants to go first? You ask your question first, because I got a bunch of questions.
So, for those who don't know or haven't heard of the Compass, how would you explain the Boston Compass?
Well, it's a newspaper. I think that's we actually kind of made that sort of, I don't even know, it's like branding or just like a basic understanding, because people got confused between our blog and our storefront. You're like, you're the Dorchester Art Project newspaper. You're like, sure, that works. You know what I mean? But because we had all these other brands, it was always confusing, and I think that's why we settled. I don't know, y'all maybe could help me out, but it's a couple years ago where it was like Boston Compass newspaper, BCN. And it's kind of a cool moment to even just say out loud, because I've never been asked about it, but just WBCN was like a underground rock radio station, basically. Or not underground, but, you know, just showcased the bands in the rock scene of Boston, you know, for decades. And I kind of basically grew up on it, even though I kind of came in like the end of the heyday or something of radio, right? But I sort of just kind of took that as like these platforms, and it's like the newspaper, radio platform, podcast, like direct community platforms. We kind of adopted BCN. So yeah, it's a newspaper that comes out every month and is free and reports on the culture of Boston. And as recently as 2020, we started paying artists. I like to say paying motherfuckers.
I like that too.
Motherfuckers, yeah.
And I say that because it's serious. You know?
Yeah.
It's serious. Paying motherfuckers,
Yeah.
which is something we took 10 years to sort of come to. And really just of volunteering and having awesome people kind of stop by. Like I would write, these folks volunteer. These are volunteers also. You know what I mean? I'm a volunteer because we're not paid for all the hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just it's a community-run newspaper through a volunteer effort that has evolved into like paying motherfuckers.
So where do y'all find the time to volunteer? And what?
That's such a good question.
What about the vision makes you so committed to? You said
Volunteering.
2021, so it's been 2 years for you. You said 20. You said you've been here for 4 years.
For a couple months since I've been writing.
The microphone, yeah.
A couple months since I've been writing with the Compass. Sam brought me on maybe March of this year, something like that. Yeah.
What makes you want to write? Like
Michelle.
what about the vision story? What is it for you that keeps you like, all right, I'm finna get up and write for the Boston Compass?
Good question. I think honestly, I've been writing for like different publications. Been writing on my own blog for 5.5 years up until I started writing with the Compass. And
There we go. Comes out. We all got our platforms, man.
Yeah. And like I think it had been cool. It had been interesting to like figure out what my brain could do and like how it could figure out ways to express itself. But like working with the Compass means being involved, like strongly involved with community and like telling stories, helping tell stories that revolve around community, and that's something that really draws me to my work with y'all. Yeah.
That's what's up. Anybody else want to answer? Yeah, Michelle, because you be blogging and editing. What make
So,
you want to
Michelle-
get up and volunteer?
I mean, I feel like for me myself, it's like I'm a creative as well. Like I write and publish books, and I design jewelry. So it's
Ooh,
like
okay.
I feel like it's like, you know, I had the platform and I was supported like throughout the process. So I definitely love being like able to support others and
That's
even
what's
like you
up.
know helping others with their work or like making sure creatives are supported like and represented properly. Like that's kind of big for me. So that's basically where I find the time, and like it helps me balancing out my own schedule as well. So. Yeah, that's the motivation behind it.
That's what's up. Damn, girl, you just working up a pure motivation and love.
Yeah,
And
it's,
commitment.
It's a lot of love, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam's vision is big, literally, and like, you know, he supports and represents a lot of artists as well, so it's important, you know, for everyone to have that platform, yeah.
It's been an evolution for sure, and like what we do. I mean, and y'all know because y'all are the platform that's like not this like you know, corporate sort of trying to make money or something.
Yeah.
You know, this is like a for the love sort of thing. So I think that's sort of like the thing that it's not being said or something is just that we do these platforms because it's good for us, and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
what
Definitely.
we started in 2010. So 2010. So it's been this evolution of like getting toward more of like a healing space where like even the participation is, you know, cared for in like a vital way, you know, and it's not always been that way, you know. Even with myself, I was like put pressure on myself for the deadlines and ruining Christmas time, you know, with my family because I'm like, but I gotta get the January 1st issue of the Boston Compass out. So vital. Like we just are away from that, you know, to use that as an example. And yeah, paying people is really key to that. And the friendship, the relationships, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I know y'all because I watch the show, you know what I mean? Like, and you put on a platform that's like not a money-making endeavor. It's a community platform. It's like by artists for artists sort of vibe. So that's, I think, yeah. I mean, I think that's where we like have to find the time because otherwise, you know, whatever, we'll perish or something, you know?
Right.
If we don't have that healing stuff. So for me, it's publishing, and I met Michelle at this vending at this thing, and she's like has her own book. You know, I'm like, who is this person? You know,
wrote a
like,
book, girl?
She has her own book, poetry.
Two?
Oh yeah, there's 2 books
Okay, but she'll need her own interview
for real.
Double booking.
at this point.
And that's just my people, you know? So I
Yeah.
think that's where it's sort of like, oh, do you want to like write for the Compass? And then I think, yeah, we keep each other, through our friendship, we're sort of like, hey, how are you doing? Like, are we working, you know, keeping each other accountable to like the publication, the writers that we, you know, pay, and the volunteers that we like work with. So for me, that's where I find it.
Were you into like newspapers or community before this? Like, where did you start? How did you get to the Boston Compass? What was that journey?
2010 too, right?
Say?
This is 2010 when it started.
Yeah, it was like a zine. I mean, it's pretty much like punk culture or DIY culture. We hear that, and we hear that on like Home Depot, and that's just like not
Yeah,
what I'm
do it
fucking
yourself.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, hell yeah, you know what I mean. You make a pot of, you grow mushrooms out of like a Home Depot bucket. Like, go on, you know what I mean. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like independent music and your own publications. Your own writing, your own blog. And so I kind of like keep that ethos, even though my sort of subcultures or something have like evolved from like punk and folk and jazz and R&B. Open mics is like a culture unto itself. That really kind of is got me into hip hop in some ways. You know what I mean? Besides just the records I knew. So yeah, I guess it's just like that. It's kind of related to all those things.
Well, yeah, I kind of want to
think
know
the
about
newspaper
evolution more though.
Yeah. Physical.
I want to know about the evolution. Like, where did you guys in 2010? Like, what were you guys writing about? And then now in 2023, where it's like I just see it's so diverse. There's so many different things that you guys are talking about. How did that evolution happen?
Great question. How did it happen? Well, back to the paying people. I think that's critical is to like bring in voices that maybe can't volunteer or aren't, students, I mean, if unchecked, this thing could be like just a newspaper, a magazine for just like new students coming in and putting their feelings out there. But like somewhere along the way, we got interested in like who is from here and how we want to support them. And I think that comes with like the equity and like our nonprofit Brain Arts, very important, cause and like advocacy. But, it started with this newspaper because it started from just this, kind of extreme, I guess, sort of subculture where we felt like we just don't want the mainstream isn't doing it, so we want to have our own newspaper. And I think that's where, other people come into play. They have their own blogs, they have their own books because we aren't satisfied by what's out there.
What's the standard? What do you offer that other newspapers or other community-based events don't? I mean, or even community-based anything, networks, media, anything. What separates the Boston Compass from everybody else?
Cricket. Oh my God. But the questions that matter,
Yeah.
Alula? Would you pass the mic? No, because Cricket's got to have that.
You're right.
Don't
See, you-
let her
you
let.
The Mike Pro. He knows his way around an audio system. Yeah. That's a good question. I think so. On one level, like the Compass being a print and like primarily print, like there's a website, there's a blog that's developing that's beautiful. But I really enjoy like the print form, like just going to a box and getting a free newspaper with like quality writing, right? Where you get to hear about like what is going on in your art scene, right? Not what's going on somewhere else, not what's going on. And I mean, I love Seattle. My mom lives in Seattle. Not what's going on in Seattle. Not what's going on in Cleveland, where I'm from. But like, what is going on where you are?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is like the local show that's going on? Who just dropped an album? What producer do you need to be put onto? What I mean, a new development, like what policies are coming down the pipeline that might affect the art scene, like that kind of thing is what I really love reading in the Compass.
Sumaya too, like, you know, we met as a reader, you know what I mean? Did the content bring you in, or is it like Alula kind of intimated, you know, there's this thing about it being physical where you're like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah, I can't really speak to this newspaper has such a long history. I can't speak to the other eras. I feel like I met you in the era that's kind of emerged now. And I think what drew me to it and what I was also looking for, like I was born and raised in Boston. I grew up in like the Mission Projects, and but I also went to private school in Chestnut Hill, so I'm really confused. Too.
Okay.
What's that?
Was it Mecca? No.
No, I don't want to talk about it. But
Different story. Another story.
It's a whole nother show.
but the thing to extrapolate from that was like I tried New York. It didn't work for me. I have no desire to go back, and I came back for what I thought was like a transitory summer where I was going to figure out where I was going to live next, and I like fell deeply in love with Roxbury and Boston, and I was like, this is it for me. And I was looking for resources in a time that was so weird because of COVID. I was looking for things that felt committed to Boston, because Boston can be a really transitory transit city in some pockets. I wouldn't say that's necessarily some parts of Roxbury, but in terms of the art scene, there's a lot of fleeting folks, people in and out, often because they can't find the resources that they need in this city. But I was looking for things that were dedicated to Boston. And I've been finding that through the compass.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good point. It sets us apart, right? Because not everyone cares about that. They sort of
Right.
go with whatever, maybe, whatever, whether it makes money or not, or, even if they're passion, it's not always about who's from here. So that's an important value, I guess, that we hold as a group.
Even on the website, I was looking and it was just like, oh, these are all the things that are going in Boston that we know about. You know what I mean? And it's so nice that it's so dedicated to like what's going on, who do we know is doing what, you know what I mean? Like all these Boston artists are just getting their highlights and everything. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, just that, yeah. It's just there's so much amazing stuff happening.
Yeah, sure.
That it's really interesting. Just hear you talk about it. It's like, yeah, we feature what we know, and what we can have capacity to share, and it's like a drop in the bucket, It's like because it's an ocean of like incredible stuff. So we're doing our thing, you know what I mean? And y'all know it too, you know what I mean? You have your city councilors on, you know what I mean? You have your different communities represented. Like we're just doing our part,
Yeah.
And I think we're just another platform that I like hope is doing it right. And it's funny, it's not on us. Like it's weird. It ends up being on us, but like it's like always the working class and to hold the standard of like everything. Exactly. And that's why, we're trying to like pay people even though we have no money. You know what I mean? Like we're all working part-time instead of one person full-time trying to figure it out. So whatever, we're just doing it our way as you guys are. And like, so that also sets us apart. But then, we're completely surrounded by amazing other like platforms, podcasts, publications, I could be just name dropping the whole way, but but who you are out there.
That part.
What I mean? So
Can I ask, how do you guys find who and what to write about? Because I know on the website, it says there's 4 different things that you guys focus on: music, art, identity, and activism. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. I don't even think of the categories like that, but it is, that's exactly right, man. That's kind of worked at that for quite a while.
For him to sum it up just like that.
Well, it's tricky, right? Like, what do we cover? We cover food, but I think that's identity, you know what I mean? That's
100%.
That's culture, that's important stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, Michelle, what do you think with the blog?
Yeah, let's talk about the blog.
I mean, that's your...
Because the article is one thing, but what sets apart an article from a blog?
An article from a blog? What do you mean?
Like from the newspaper versus the blog, right?
Yeah. So you write blogs. So you edit the blogs for the newspaper. Are the articles and the blogs considered the same things, or are they different?
Yeah, right. From the newspaper, from the digital and the physical. Yeah, they're pretty much the same. Yeah, we give like for the most part, we give our contributors like pretty much like the freedom to choose like what they feel to write about for the most part. Yeah, like whatever music is, like whatever music they're into, pretty much. And like either like you said, like their identity, like even like stuff like food, like what speaks to them and things like that, or even like the comics. We have like a lot of we have a lot of art contributors as well, so they express their creativity. Yeah. So it's like pretty much it's I want to say it's kind of like an open book, like for people to express themselves, but also like keep it to the culture as well. So I feel like that's how we pick and choose. Yeah.
Do you guys gauge like your audience, or are do people submit what they want you guys to capture? Do you guys how do you guys make the decision of like, we gotta write about this, we gotta go more in depth about this, or we gotta have a balance between this type of subculture, this type of subculture?
I mean,
well, the categories help.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like, right? I mean, for real, it's like we're all working 2 jobs. Anyone else? You know what I mean? Like we're all working. So doing this in a time, in a capacity that's like healthy is like kind of going back to that, like, this is like got to be a healing thing, right? So, right. So it's like the categories help us be like, okay, like, are we making sure like the current like action and initiative and movement of, our people are happening, activism, identity, like, broad, right? Broad, but broad so that we can encompass, the beautiful, diverse communities that we have. Like, we didn't even.
That makes sense.
Somebody submits food, and we're like, sure, because right, to answer your question, I mean, it's whoever steps up, and if you run a platform, if you're watching this, 30 minutes in, like, you're with us, and that's whoever steps up is kind of the vibe.
That makes sense, because honestly, I'm asking that because, like, with us, we're just like Russian roulette. We're just like, okay, this makes sense to cover. Let's just do it.
Well, who responds? You probably get left on red all the time.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
I don't know. So that's my point.
Hey.
But we have contributors who step up, and I think that's why Alula's here, is like because this person, has values, right, that are aligned with us.
Yes.
And, they may be broad, but I think like bettering the people and uplifting is like setting us apart, kind of back to like what sets you apart. Yeah. It's like we want to uplift people. So if it's an action or a program in a prison for youth, you know what I mean? Or it's like an art program that's a healing thing. It doesn't matter what it is. We want to cover that. So shout out to anyone be in the paper. Step right up. You know what I mean? We'd love to have you. That's it.
Going into that about like what you guys specifically like about the Boston Compass, Alula, we were talking about a little bit about. We didn't get to go into in depth because I wanted to ask you on here. But what do you specifically like writing about? And I want to go about all of you guys. What do you guys specifically like writing about, or finding out about, like, why you're part of the Boston Compass, and what's some of the things that you really enjoy?
Yeah. I think it shifts over time, and it's like not, for me at least, it's not like a set in stone thing. Like, I started out as I think my first essay ever was like a music journalistic opinion coverage type of deal. And like I will probably always love writing about music, but like I started writing about culture and fashion maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, so like that's in the toolkit. Started writing about policy around the same time. That's in the toolkit. Started writing like poetry maybe 6 months ago. That's like kind of in the toolkit, like getting there at least.
I've read his poetry. It is very good.
I can tell it's
very
Off my
kind.
dome.
Very kind.
.blogspot, I think. I'm sorry, I don't actually. That's the URL.
I appreciate you, sir. Yeah. But so I guess like say that to say, yeah, it's definitely a shifting thing. I think the Compass's focus in particular on community and being in community motivates a lot of what I write about for the Compass. So it's not like I have this idea, let me like do something. It's more of like I've been outside for a couple weeks, like I just saw this amazing show, or like I've been listening to this amazing album, or like I met this issue right here. I met this dude Sam Haber, who is like the founder, CEO of Heartbreak Records, and is like a teenager in high school. That's not, so like I was like, yo, if you're down, like I would love to interview you, and that became a piece. Right?
That's what's up.
So a lot of it comes out of just like living life, being around people, just like figuring out what's going on, what like draws you in, what feels necessary to cover.
So favorite piece that you've written, which one?
Probably my first one with the Compass. So I went to Lupe Fiasco did a workshop in South Bay House of Corrections in May. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
In Boston? What?
Is that
Yeah.
issue here? I think
that?
it's the blue one, no? Is it this one?
I think, yeah.
got this
yeah.
Blue one,
that
show it to the camera.
Yeah.
Just go like that. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So he like ran a workshop on like teaching people how to rap, how to produce, how to
Oh, hell yeah.
phrase bars, how to put together a verse, like that whole thing.
That's crazy.
So I just like went and wrote about the experience, and that is probably my favorite thing that I've written.
That's great. How do you even find out about that he's even offering something like that? Like, how do you even find out that information?
So that's part of like the being in community thing, Like you meet someone
Your
stay
resources,
tuned. You
your
gotta stay tuned.
networks,
Exactly. Yeah, you meet someone who knows someone, you hear something. Yeah.
staying connected.
That's so dope, man.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like,
I was grateful to write about it for the Compass. Like,
Just
thank
like
you
if
for
you
taking that.
anything that's kind of in your orbit, you sort of can just like, it's like a kind of equated to this ocean of great stuff. It's like that's just a cup, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's a powerful cup. So
yeah.
So
It's a chalice.
get
Concentrated.
it. Yeah.
That's good.
I would love to hear, Michelle, how you pick like what to write about and what your workflow is as an editor.
Yeah, that's a great
let us
question.
know.
Okay.
My interviewer friend.
Yeah,
Pass the
interviewing
mic.
each other.
You pass
Let's
the
go.
mic.
Let's
Talk
get
right
this
into
in.
that thing.
That's what's up.
She's like, I gotta take a drink for this.
Okay. Michelle, let me clear my throat.
I mean, in general, I've always loved like realistic fiction writing. That's kind of what I base my books on, and also I study neurology, so like some of my future books are gonna be like based on the brain and stuff. But
Multifaceted over here.
I think I've written like, I think it was like one article I put on the blog. It was about like how to take care of your brain. So yeah, it's like I feel like for me, I'm trying to just write more informational pieces.
Wait. How do you take
Yes.
care of your brain though? What was like the key 3 points?
Get more sleep. I think.
It was like
Like-
7 or something. You got
It was
to
seven,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
I think
Something like
so.
that.
It was like get more sleep, like feed yourself good things or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, your brain, your body. And
pretty aligned with the values of the organization.
yeah.
Not an accident, you know.
So that's why it clicked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure like one of them was something about balance because that's also a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm just trying to like write more informational pieces for people like I guess to prioritize more self-care and things like that. 'Cause that's also something I'm prioritizing, and I'm also a mom too, so I'm teaching my son that.
How old's your baby? How old's your son?
He's
Your
3.
mom's.
My son just turned 3. Cool, you had your baby in
Shout out
2020?
to
His
him.
birthday.
September 23rd, 2020.
August 10th.
Oh, we cousins,
So
they cousins.
And if I had a son, I would go like this.
But yeah, I think I answered the question right. Yeah.
Yeah, you
how I
did.
choose to-
Oh, your workflow. What's your workflow?
Workflow. It's really as like kind of the work comes in because I do like a lot of editing the articles. Like what's it called? Yeah, I manage the new music for the blog. Changing it throughout the week.
All the posting.
So you be
all
doing the posting too?
50%. Sam helps with a lot.
Too. It's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but nah, you
it is a
do it.
2-person
Yeah.
job. It's a 2-person
on
job.
the flowers.
Yeah, no,
3-person
we share.
job.
A lot of, I mean, y'all know the editing, right? Compared to the filming.
Yeah.
You know, Samaya, videographer.
Okay.
The
Okay.
video.
Knows what's up.
I'm done.
Right?
Those,
Am I wrong?
those eyes say it all.
Do the editing compared to the filming, right? Is that not
The
a
editing is a long haul.
Yeah,
It
it's
can
crazy.
be.
It's way crazy.
Yeah.
It can be.
editor?
Yeah.
You kill it, dude.
Yeah. It does take a team. It really does. Sam could not do this by himself, even if he wanted to.
It's been I have this graphic I got to share with you guys, but it's like over the 10 years it's
Yeah.
been like 350 volunteers. Or
Wow.
And then since 2020, you know, it's been paid whatever dozens and hundreds, and then hundreds of artists, right? Like because we pay them for other things, but yeah, so. It's been like I want to not be doing it anymore, you know. Like I feel like I want to be in the sunset, you know what I mean?
Right.
And have other folks kind of step up, and I'm confident that it'll happen just because it's a cool platform.
Yeah.
That is just about the healing stuff, you know what I mean? So I
Right.
think if we tap into that and we really care for people and straight up pay motherfuckers,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Then. But not just that, right? It's also care for the people you pay for. You take responsibility for people, you care
Yep.
for them.
Yep,
We're
yep, yep.
still learning to do that,
Yep.
you know? So I think as we learn to do that, we'll get better.
Yeah.
And,
The Boston Compass is looking for a successor.
I'm screaming.
Well, I'm not
a
even. I
successor.
have no title. Bota, actually, shout out to Bota, right? Our new editor, our new leader. Couldn't be here, out of town today, but
Okay.
they just took on the position just a month ago, and as you can see, the paper is like better than ever. So I'm excited to work with them and see what their vision is for it, because
Yes.
like Alula deciding what the content is, you know, like Michelle deciding what the content is, like Sumaya, the feedback, the community, you know, it's going to be whatever the next person is. So in a way, it's just tricky to pass that, you know. It's a big responsibility, you know. There's
Right.
a lot of volunteerism that goes into it, but I think we're going to try to like get up to that place where it's not, you know, weighing too heavily on us, and instead it's actually like a great opportunity
course.
that pays and cares for someone, and that's how we'll find somebody really good. But we're just not there yet, you know.
That makes sense.
So is scaling and or monetization something that is in the future, or is this something that you would just rather pay people and not get paid for it? Like, what's y'all business structure? Y'all a nonprofit? Y'all for profit?
Yeah, we're a project of the nonprofit that I've been running for
Okay,
10
so you're a
10
nonprofit.
years,
Okay,
but it's
okay,
really
okay.
just, we don't know about nonprofit stuff. We're
Yeah.
just working people who
Right.
are trying to do some shit.
Yeah.
So I've had awesome volunteers, assist, and we became a nonprofit, and we do great stuff with that nonprofit. We do advocacy. Sumaya actually and I met through kind of like philanthropy world, where we're talking about foundations and how to access communities while caring for them, which is it's impossible for these institutions, it seems, but we're fighting this kind of impossible fight, and whatever, that's related because we need the funding in order to pay the people. So I think there's kind of this untalked about thing where it's like these people who have the capacity to volunteer at the time, is just how it gets made. So we're just going to have to tap into that more, but that's not as reliable and sustainable, right? You talked about sustainability, with Tanya,
Yeah.
D7, shout out.
Come on with it, Sam. Come on with
But
it.
right?
Yeah.
Sustainability.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's what it's
everything.
about, So I want it to go another 10 years, but it doesn't have to just be like necessarily us, but maybe it's us.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as we're healing and doing it, and
That makes sense.
hanging out with y'all.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys, like, what are some things that you learned about Boston, especially like you guys not really being from here or just coming in here, but through the Boston Compass, like, what have you learned about the Boston art scene, the Boston scene in general, that you would like to share with us?
It's very diverse, I feel like, and the good stuff is not in the student base of the city.
Why you say that?
I don't know, it just
Fellow Roxbury lover. What's happening in
Yeah.
Roxbury that's not happening
I
in,
just
like,
feel
near
like all movements, and we're talking about movements in the art scene, take time,
Yes.
and students that are in the city are here for a set amount of time. Some stay, but for movements to kind of bear the fruits that last, I feel like that takes time, and I feel like that's found in communities that are here for the long haul. And that's no diss or anything.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are students too. It's just what's real, I feel like.
That's good. That's good.
Wow. So I came here as a student.
Sorry.
No, but that's
This.
no. It's very real though. Like what Samaya
you're
just
still
what Samaya
here.
just
You're
said is
still
very
here.
real though.
It's
Like
true.
I don't know. Like what goes on campuses is cool, but like that's not what the city is, right? Like that's not what the city culture is. Like culture is something that's like sustained and maintained over time, right? Like you coming here for a couple years and then moving to the Bay, or
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
wherever, like that doesn't uplift the culture, right? That's just like
Or the community.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, definitely want to second what Sumaya is saying. I think it's also, I think coming here, there are a lot of stereotypes about Boston that are just not true at all. And like no one really, or not no one, because plenty of people are talking about it, but like if you are on a campus or if you come here as a grown person, you may not hear about like the DIY art scene. You may not hear about podcasts like this. You may not hear
That's
about
true.
publications like this.
It's true.
So I think like, but at the same time, like if you tap into one thing and you just like follow that thread, like you'll find everything. Yeah. So I guess that's
good.
That's a big thing. Yeah.
Were you pleasantly surprised by like all the different artist scenes that you were like subjected to in the Boston area?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like the chamber.
Oh, the
like, by
chamber! Shout out to those
itself is
motherfuckers.
just, like, it's
My
just
first time in the
nuts.
building right
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
Chamber number 4.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go.
I can't remember.
Yeah, like the chamber just by itself, like being introduced to that like
Anything. What month
series
is it?
of competitions, performances, like being introduced to Thrill, being introduced to like that entire ecosystem just by itself, like that. I mean, if you start going to chambers, you start listening to albums from people who compete in the chambers, you're listening to like
These
easily-
artists have platforms, like, and so on and so, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you guys describe what a chamber is for those who have not heard of the term or the word or the chamber? What's the chamber?
I mean, I don't want to say it's like a rap competition, but the chamber is like, I guess it's a competition of artistry pretty much. And yeah, literally, people compete for, it's different prizes. And then, I think it's like a double battle, like two people go
Bragging
against each
rights
other.
too, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
And
go
then, like,
rounds.
Yeah.
They go rounds. Okay.
And then at the end, yeah, they're like hailed master of the chamber, whoever wins. So,
Oh,
yeah,
hailed master of the
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's like I feel like it's
That's a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Yo, it's literally Mortal Kombat for the artists, bro.
Oh no, that's a good description.
Okay. Okay,
That's
good to
big
know.
inspo for us just watching that. I mean, even bringing in the competitive nature of it, because like we talked about this before upon arrival. You know what I mean? There's like these nominations and awards and
Yeah.
competitions, and that's cool, but that's different than like some community platform. So what I think is extra, and I'm about the community platforms, and Thrill is that, the Chamber is that,
Yes.
and they have this awesome competitive way of iron sharpens iron. Right?
Ooh,
They
that's
all say that,
good.
Chamber, I'm just an attendee, you know what I mean, a fan. So, and yeah, the Sanye like did an interview, bad for the community. Shout out to the
Yeah,
podcast,
shout out to them,
podcast
shout out
of the
to
year.
them.
Vote for them on Boston Music Awards. But you know, that's a community platform that's about the community and the people. So
Yes.
I think that inspires us in the way that we do it. It's like, wow, okay, bringing in this competitive edge. You know, it doesn't have to be limited to just like, oh, we all just give what do they call it? Not consolation prizes, but participation or something. Like people hate on that. It's like, well, in a way, that's in a sense, in a way, that's what we do because we feature people, we care about them. But you know, participating ain't nothing. You know what I mean? So I think it's
true.
It's kind of real. I wouldn't coin that term or something, but I think it's just dope to feature that and then also bring up that competitive edge. So that's just one awesome example.
No, that makes sense. Competition's great.
The prizes, you know, like money prize. You know what I mean? $500 or something. It's just cool. It's different than what we.
I never heard of it till tonight.
had.
That's because you're from Georgia.
Don't do me. I'm
They
paying for
gotta
you.
have something in Atlanta where there's like a competitive.
You know what?
have to find that out.
I lived in Columbus, Georgia, which is like the second most populous city in
Wait, you're from Alabama.
Georgia. I was born in Alabama. You think you know me so bad,
My bad.
so bad. But this ain't even
Co-host.
about this ain't even about
You
me.
guys don't even know each other. You just hang out on the same couch all the time.
I don't even know this man. Who is security?
What's his ethnicity?
Lula, I want to speak to you because I went to Chicago once and I went by myself and it was the best vacation I've ever had. And it was back in 16 and I went to the art scene. I don't remember if it was called Hyde Park. But I could be right. My memory's gonna be right. Does it sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's where I was at. And it was just as welcoming as it was here because when I moved here back in 2014, though I'm a makeup artist and I was more into the world of film and music, and beauty, the music industry welcomed me here with open arms. Like, you would have thought I was a musician, but I wasn't. I was more behind the scenes. So how would you say the art community in Chicago compares to the art community here? And what made you stay?
Good. Both of those are good questions. So I will say, I bounced around a lot as a kid. I spent the most amount of my life, young adolescent life in Cleveland. So I spent like around 10 years there. But that was from age like 5 to 15. So like I feel connected, kind of, not really.
Yeah.
You know
what you mean.
one of those type of things. But like say that to say, I think coming here, I moved here when I was like 17. So part of it is just like a familiarity on some level. Like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the fact that like Cleveland weather and Boston weather is both rough.
Yeah.
It just like feels like
Yeah.
home, you know.
Well, compared to Chicago, I mean, they're very similar cities, you know.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
that with my Cleveland plebe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you know about Cleveland? You from Cleveland?
Well, we booked bands a lot, you know. So we would
Yeah.
have bands come through here, and some of the greatest bands in America are from Cleveland. And I'm talking
Okay.
about Mourning a Black Star.
Okay.
They're from Cleveland?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And incredible. I mean, I'm talking about also Ono, which is another sort of like incredible, like it's like a gospel fusion with like an underground rock and experimental soul. Really. And we were fortunate enough to book this band. They reached out and asked, and they were the first band I ever booked at the Dorchester Art Project in 2017.
That's what's
So-
up.
So that's a little bit of thing, and then they have one member, like the one white dude. Look out for him. Pete, shout out to my homie, is from Maine. You know, so
Okay.
we have this like New England connection, and it comes back to just the relationships. You know what I mean? And meeting people who are like, wow, you open up an art space where you're voluntarily being here to run it entirely for all right, we want to play here. And then this most incredible band ever played to like 20 people, and
That's
I
what's
probably
up.
paid them out of pocket. And that's that's what I know about Cleveland. Not that much, but something that's very special to me, and I think one of the greatest bands in America.
Say no more. What's the name of the band again?
Morning a Black Star.
Morning of Black Star.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like abbreviated MAB, but
Okay. Say no
Morning
more.
MOURN.
Okay.
You got it.
And what made you stay at Lula?
Yeah, so I think so part of it is that familiarity. A big part of it though is like, yeah, it's I'm trying to figure out how to put this. I think people in the Midwest are a little bit more like polite at first glance.
Yeah.
Like the hey, how you doing type thing, but like don't really care.
Yeah.
Where, like, I feel like here it's maybe a little like just because it's it's just the pace of the city. Like,
Yeah.
Like you gotta really get to know someone, but like when you get to know someone,
Massholes.
exact. But underneath that asshole like
Exterior.
is like a
Heart of gold.
They do be nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's true, it's true.
Warmth, it's
real
love. It's
bond.
care. It's like
It's very
It's a
true.
real bond.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very, very, very true.
Yeah. So like the people really is what keep me here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a culture shock, but it's a culture nonetheless.
Explain this relationship and collaboration with Dorchester Art Project.
That's a good
I would love
question.
to know more about how you guys work together.
Well, it's kind of like now it's different, but it started when we took over this lease. And when I say we, I mean Brain Arts Organization, which is the nonprofit. Shout out Brain Arts.
Shout out
right?
Brain Arts.
It's funny. It's like that's me. That's just me and my peeps. You know
Shout
what I
out
mean?
you.
So shout out.
You're right. Shout out you.
But I think that's
Facts.
coming back to this sort of bit about like what are we? How do we? When I think scale up and monetize, like sure. But like I mean like help more people. We're a nonprofit. That's why we started. So kind of getting into this, we have this sort of effort of advocacy and like getting more foundations to like basically give more money away. They're always making people jump through these goddamn hoops.
Yeah.
Why all the hoops? Like you're the ones with salaries. Why don't you know who to give the money to and just give it away? Why are you making us jump through these hoops?
Right.
So we're kind of out there shouting that into the void. But I think it's important work to do, and we fundraise to do that. But to be honest, we spend most of our time and money doing this because this puts money in the pockets of people. And then I go to these foundations and I'm like, you can do it too. We do it with no money and no paid staff.
Come on now.
How about you do it with a full-time staff
Come
and all your
on.
salaries and benefits?
That's right.
And there are some institutions, we know about some that want to try to do better, but it's not so easy. It's not so easy to just change that, what they know and their funders and their restrictions. We're talking about systemic racism.
Yes,
and
sir.
we're talking about systems change for the health and well-being of the working class people. We're not talking about a newspaper.
So look. So how have the policy? So you said you write about policy.
It was like Dorchester Art Project. We'll get back. We can get back to it.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to y'all.
I didn't mean to.
We'll be back. But we know exactly what you
Right
mean. Yeah.
Projects that make that same goal. DAP was
Right.
like that, and DAP's still like that because the brand is now in the hands of awesome, capable people. Shout out Rob, put in work. Thrill.
Rob puts in work.
Members of Thrill.
Wait, why does that name sound so familiar?
Yeah, because some nigga.
Also
Okay.
nominated for Manager of the
Okay,
Year,
okay,
Boston
okay.
Music Awards.
I didn't know that was a category.
Shout out to
Manager of the Year.
again,
Okay.
the community.
that-
Actually, I would
Yo, okay. The math
Shout out
is
to the
mathing.
community.
Boston just suddenly became this much smaller. That part.
Is where you guys also do those mini concerts, right?
Well, we had the DAP open mic, which was like our monthly thing.
that's
which was
what's
like,
up.
I mean, that changed my whole life.
Is it still
because-
happening?
No. 'cause
Okay.
That space closed. The
Okay.
1486 Dorchester Ave space. We closed in September.
Okay.
And COVID really just.
Yeah.
everything,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We were no longer a venue, and then we just had studios and managing studios, like collecting rent from people who like don't have money. Like it didn't work. Like
You started feeling like the mafia.
well, I mean, yeah, and people treated me that way. They're like, "You're taking money from me." Like, okay, I'm voluntarily like here to like make this thing happen. But like we did the best we could, and no one was displaced. And through this entire lease, like we like ate the money, and we just made it happen. But that was just a project of our group of people who were like just trying to do some shit, and I think it's okay to just make a newspaper and to pay a few motherfuckers.
That's your favorite thing to
and do
say.
some good work. Having the
play it.
space was too much.
Yeah.
We could talk about that, but I mean, it's just hard to keep them, you know what I mean? But Dorchester Art Project is already doing some awesome stuff. Artist incubator, accelerators, conversations.
Yep.
So look out for them, follow them. Shout out to Dap.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Dap.
Shout out to Dope, DAP.
Yeah, I love Dap.
Dap me up.
Facts. Big facts.
Anything else that you guys want to talk about that you guys feel like people should know about the Boston Compass? Because like, as a transplant perspective,
Final word, you have
like
it. I know you have it.
where can people go to find the Boston Compass? I think that's like one of the most important questions. Where can people go to find y'all?
Well, Michelle, I wanted to hear what you're gonna say first. Before they get an individual answer.
More like,
Put that mic up though.
Oh, wait, sorry. Can you say the first part again of the question besides where can
What's
you
something
find-
people should know about the Boston Compass?
Yeah.
Let me think. I mean, I feel like we emphasize a lot already that, you know, it's basically for artists by artists. But, yeah, I guess I can say, like, you know, creativity is really the basis of everything we do and making sure, like, people feel supported throughout. Because it's like, you know, if you don't have the resources you need, you
Yep.
can't really do much.
That's the word. Yep.
So, yeah, it's like basically, you know, we're here for the community and we just want to keep, like, making our vision get bigger. Pretty much, yeah.
I'm
And
so
wait,
glad
where
to be
can-
here.
You so glad to be
Thank
here,
y'all.
Sam.
Show and tell.
We're glad to
Oh,
have
man.
you.
What do you
That's
guys
what's
talk
up.
about
The
mostly when
platforms.
it comes into the because we're talking about the categories that's on your site, which was art, activism, music, and
Identity.
Yeah.
identity. So identity and activism, like what are the most things that you guys kind of capture in those arenas? Like what do you guys kind of look forward when you guys write those articles?
Well, that's kind of a big one. I mean, I think that's kind of plays into that ocean stuff where like we grab what we can, man. You know, and frankly, we're not doing this full time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we grab what we can, and like what's the most urgent. And I think that's worth saying, you know, because we're not all inclusive, you know, like everyone wants to be all inclusive. It's like we're just doing what we can.
Yeah.
So when it comes to those things, we feature what the people bring forth, and you know all about it because it's like who responds, who shows up to this podcast, who's on time. Not us.
Exactly.
Sorry.
I'm screaming.
And I want to ask you guys too about like have you guys ever received pushback?
That's a good question.
So I think I was talking to you, Sam, about kind of people who are outside of Boston, who I guess maybe they want to be on it, but they said like maybe it wasn't Boston, so they felt like they weren't able to get on. How do you feel about that type of situation?
Oh, I mean, they'll be fine. You know, I mean, I think entitlement is something that is pervasive, and in a world of people suffering and struggling to exist, we expect the flack because we're fucking we're playing around with the people. We're trying to showcase and platform the people closest to the pain. So
That's
we're
good.
prepared for it. You know what I mean? We've learned to be prepared for it, and that's why we, you know, talk about the healing. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about. If someone's upset because they're not on the paper, it's okay. Just send us an email. You know what I mean?
That part.
We'll heal together. You know, or whatever. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
That part.
It's all good. You know, we're all just doing the best we can, and we're not gonna make everyone happy. So I'm like, we're not pressed about it personally. But I don't know. Maybe you guys are pressed about it. But
See, I'm saying, ain't worried about this shit. Okay.
Can I ask you guys like how do you go about getting on the Boston Compass? Is it something that happens organically, like the team makes the decision, or do people submit themselves to there? Like how does someone end up getting featured on the Boston Compass? Is it, you know, what's the way it happens?
it's just who has the capacity to step up, you know, kind of back to the, I don't want to repeat myself exactly, but it is like that. You know what I mean? It's like who has the capacity to step up at that month. You know what I mean? And like, honestly, if we miss a month, that's okay. We don't have to be out there every month. You know what I mean? If our editor is struggling, you know, mentally and needs a moment, or, you know what I mean? Yeah. So how do we decide? It's like who steps up really? Sometimes we need content, you know, and I think people will be surprised by that. But the people who support or whatever send in the content, you know, it's either all about them or it's like all about the community. And either way, we'll take it. But you know, at some point, you have to be on the mission level, right? Like in order to plug in, Like,
Sorry, I was choking.
I didn't know. Like, just like,
I don't know what y'all talking about.
I was trying to
I just rose from the dead.
Pick it up. If you pick this thing up, you know what I mean? If you pick this thing up, if you edit the articles, if you write articles,
Yeah.
you're already, it's kind of cool that way.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a freak flag, you might say. Like, that's
Yeah.
like a 60s thing, you know what I mean? Like the hippie stuff. But,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a freak flag where you see it out there and you can relate to it. So I think that's how we decide. It's like who steps up with something they care about, and it's like that's not hard to decipher through. It's like whoever really steps up really cares, and the other folks are just dealing with their shit, and that's cool, or they have their own thing going on.
Now, even in that realm, people who want to step up and say, join your community, join either this volunteer network or join the Boston Compass in either being a writer or contributing or helping you out, how do they get involved? How do they join the community of the Boston Compass?
Yeah, I think it's relationship based, right? I mean, it's like we met and we developed a relationship. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, like we meet a lot of people at events because we do a lot of events. So yeah, like a lot of people expressed interest. And another thing is to like a lot of word of mouth. Like a lot of people have heard from their friends, or they're like, oh, my friend has done work for the Compass. So yeah, it's like literally like Sam was saying, pretty much. Sorry. Yeah, pretty much. Like whoever is interested. And yeah, like a lot of people send in submissions through the Boston Compass, through the Instagram, and we have email too, like at Boston Compass. So
We can tell if you're just like
yeah.
copy and pasting, or if you're like, wow, I read this thing.
No, literally,
You know, like straight up. You know what I mean?
So if someone wants to be say they want to write something, they could just submit it to you, or they could just submit their artwork to you. Like, how does that work? If
we
you
were
want
just
to
talking about like reach out, right?
Yeah, definitely reach out. I think like, one thing I really enjoy about the Compass is like Sam was saying, it really is relationship based. I think it's a lot of it is about like our like missions and visions aligned. Like, is what you're proposing as an article, does that make sense? Right? Like, is it something that is coming out of community? Is it something that is coming out of arts, culture, music, identity, activism? Like, is it something that's like really speaking to what's going on? And then also like, I think the most fun part of the Compass is like meeting folks and just like, I don't know, like it is about the writing, it is about the content, it is about like covering stories, but it's also about like building relationships. So I think building relationships is like the most important part. Like, if you see one of us out at an event or a party, like, don't be afraid to say what's up. Like, let us know if you have ideas, if you're looking to contribute. There is a form, and I think people are getting.
Yeah, you can throw it on the website and send it in.
Yeah.
So if I was a aspiring writer, I was like, oh man, I really wanted to write about this thing I see in Boston. I could just write my article, find an email, submit it to the Boston Compass, and then you guys be like, oh, we'll approve it or we'll not.
It's a conversation, It's like getting here took a conversation.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And I think that's almost like a bare minimum, sort of like
Yeah.
communicating. But I think
Yeah.
too, I feel like you're kind of going in this direction about accessibility. It's like, how can people get in?
Yeah.
And really, we're trying to become more accessible, because I think not everyone answers their emails. So I think it's important that and if Boto is here too, our new editor in chief. Very exciting. This is like the first announcement on like media that she's the new editor.
Okay, girl. You official, girl.
Bota, Bota. Yeah.
Boda, girl. You made it, girl.
Yeah.
Your mom ain't got to work no more, girl.
They them, right? Bota, they them. But they are, kind of stepping up and having a vision in this. So I think that's we want to see more of that, I think. And that's like editorial stuff. We have editors, we have writers, but stepping up and doing it, I think, is the thing. We do pay writers, so if you submit a piece, you want to get it in there, but I think it has to be this kind of bare minimum conversation.
Yeah.
You're developing this relationship and kind of just proving to one another that you're in it for the right reasons.
That
right?
part.
Before the content, because there's so much content. We could cover everybody,
Yeah.
but you'll notice the artists in here are working nonprofits, or volunteer themselves, or are part of communities. Like, it's not, you'll begin to see community in here, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. And that's community platforms versus some other thing, you know what I mean?
That's
Maybe
good.
some corporate stuff.
And if you wanted to do some, like, say, submit just your artwork or get commissioned for it, like, or inquire about it, just to be on the front page of the Boston Compass, how would you go about it? Do you just submit like a piece that you do?
Yeah, well, BostonCompassNewspaper.com, right? We got the emails on there. I think it's really like there's a contributor form, but then also just email like works. And I guess I was kind of getting to this, but like we'll DM you. You know, we can DM with you. It's just got to be a genuine conversation. And
That part.
you know, responding is not, 9 out of 10 people don't respond. You know, and I think that just speaks to who we're trying to support, and we don't take that in any weird way. You know.
Yeah.
So do your best and try to show up, and we'll try to meet you there.
But show up first.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
We gotta reach out
Not everyone
first.
can, but yeah, it's like we're trying to go meet people where they're at as much as possible.
Yeah. So we got the so it's bostoncompass.com. What's the Instagram?
Yeah, it's at Boston Compass, right?
At Boston Compass.
But Boston Compass Newspaper, BCN, is like the kind of like brand that we're kind of
Okay.
trying to get.
That's
it
what
to
that's
be.
what you're trying to push BC.
Well, there's
in.
like BC. It's obviously BC is a thing. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
like, oh, BLS. It's like, no, there's only one BLS. There's only one BLA. It's like you can't take. We're BCN, the former WBCN radio station recipes. BCN, Boston Compass Newspaper.com.
So can the followers follow you guys got a personal Instagram page or you got a business Instagram page?
You guys want to plug anything?
Give us a plug.
Y'all want to plug it up? Plug it
Small
in.
plug time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll plug my blog www.offmydome.com.
Ooh, that's
You can
good.
find culture writing, essays, poetry, anything on there. Yeah.
Okay. Offmydome.com. Okay.
It's good.
My Instagram is at chillwavy, CHILLWVY. I'm putting back up my website soon.
But the book is
coming.
there. The jewelry is
I
there.
got a
You got 2 mics.
And there's a blog.
Double fisting.
I am Sumaya. I'm Sumaya with like a bunch of A's on Instagram.
Yeah, like how many?
Like
Like
4, and then there's like a period, and there's 4 more.
okay.
I love this. The underscores are there.
Yes.
No.
I also want to shout out. I'm a freelance videographer.
Oh, you
and
be
video
freelance?
editor.
Okay.
I'm also a writer. I've not written for the Boston Compass. Shame. I will. And then I also want to shout out my full-time job. I work at the Boston Women's Fund. Sam was talking a lot
that's what's
about
up.
philanthropy, fundraising struggles, and I really think the folks I work with at the Boston Women's Fund are doing dope stuff, led by Natanya Craig Okendo, Boston Power
Yeah.
woman
Carlos, girl.
who is really disrupting the philanthropic world. So I want to shout them out too.
Okay, say no more. We'll have to get her name, her
Good call.
Instagram name. And what about you, Sam? You got a personal page
I
you want
do
to?
actually. I don't even know. I think it was like some fellowship or thing that I was involved in, but they were like, you have to have your own website. You
Yes,
know?
yes.
Don't let Facebook be your website.
Come
you know
on
what
now.
I mean? And obviously I keep present company with awesome people who have their projects, So mine is sampbostonmass.com.
CMP
So it's
Boston
got like
Mass.com.
interviews with me, you know what I mean? If you want to know how I feel about things or,
Yeah.
people talk some shit.
Yeah.
Check me out. Research
Okay.
me. Google me. And watch the videos on my website because I kind of just have been talking about this stuff for years and it's pretty well documented. And I also have my not just the projects, you know what I mean, and the platforms that I love, but I like play bass and I have my bands and I write some poetry and I have my thing that I put out there and so I'm kind of proud of my little website. The what?
Flyers too. He does flyers.
You do flyers
I've been doing
too?
some graphic design.
Okay. Say no more.
If you check out the
Yeah.
BCN Instagram, just Boston Compass, it's like I've been working on that little. I don't even know what you call it, like a template.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Canva.com.
I'm straight. Bye.
Doing Canva sessions. We've been meaning to do
Oh,
this Canva
really?
session. I think it's 9 months we've been trying to do this, right?
Wait, so what y'all been doing?
Let me get in there.
I'm trying to.
Like a little workshop?
Sam is the
Okay.
like the
Yo, let me get
design
in that,
god.
too.
You feel
Okay.
me? So, like,
It's hilarious.
I'm
I
trying
just
to learn
learned
from,
it. I just learned
Okay,
it.
say
I
no
can
more.
Photoshop. Let me get in
My
there.
wife taught me.
Okay.
Canva's
Yeah.
amazing, yeah. Shout out to Emma, my wife.
Oh, Emma?
Shout out Emma.
Pro operations manager.
Okay,
Operations.
okay.
Okay.
All right, shout out Emma.
Definitely, please.
And shout out to Show and Tell Boston at SHOWANDTELLBOSTON.
And clearly, shout out to Boston Compass. Really, like, there's so many publications that they say Boston in it, but really, Boston Compass really shows who we are as artists, who we are as like a city, and they really, really, really dive deep into, getting to know the community, getting to know the artists as individuals, showing people who they are, what the city has to offer, and they're really dedicated to what they do. And they're coming out here volunteering. They're like, yo, we don't even got that much, but we're doing it. and it's so beautiful.
Tata.
And we love what you guys do, and we support you so much.
Feelings mutual, man. Thank you so much.
You know what it is.
Awesome.
You guys know.
So glad to be here.
All right, it's a wrap. Good night.